Hello everyone, in this step-by-step tutorial I will show you how to make a simple squash and stretch animation. Enjoy! For the purpose of this tutorial I will use timeline room, and inside this timeline room I will keep function editor, XSheet that is actually turned into timeline, and of course viewer where I'm going to draw a circle. To draw a circle I will use a geometric tool, change to circle, and check if autofill option is selected because I want to have a color, the circle, and I will draw it right here. Now first thing that we have to do before we start animating is to move the pivot point of this shape. Right now if we go to animate tool, and if we want, for example, to do scaling, if we start do that scaling, you will see that is not scaling from the center of the sphere, but is actually scaling towards this point that is actually a center point. To change that, we will go to column 1 section where is the drawing of this circle, and from here I will change to the center, and now the center point will be somewhere here. And now if I go to scale, and if I want, for example, to do vertical, you see that now is scaling toward this center point, which is necessary for our squashing and stretching effect. Next step is to decide how long this jump is going to last. So in this example, we're going to stretch this animation to, let's say, 18 frames. And it's time to do our first keyframes. At frame number 1, I will create a keyframe. You can press here set key, or you can do a shortcut. I have a shortcut for this one, which is Shift S. And when I press Shift S, the keyframe is created. And if I select here in function editor, column 1, where is my sphere, we can see that keyframe is made for the frame 1. Because this ball is gonna play in a loop, the first frame and last frame needs to be exactly the same. In that case, I can copy this keyframe at the frame number 1, and I can duplicate it by holding Shift and just dragging at the frame 18. And now we have exactly the same keyframes at the first and 18th frame. Now it's necessary to make a next key position, which is going to be up. To do so, from the animation tool, from drop-down menu, select position, and you can hold a Shift, and with left mouse button just drag it up. I'm holding Shift just to be in the same line, to not move it left or right. So we're gonna choose somewhere in the middle at frame 9 and hold Shift and drag up, and we have another key position. And if I now play animation in loop, the ball is just going up and down. Okay, now what is missing before we start doing squash and stretch of this ball is anticipation. So anticipation will be actually a moment when he squash, and then it follows this animation that goes down, up and down. Now I have to add empty frames before actually this keyframe. And to do so, you can just go to, I believe it's XSheet, and you can just go to Insert Frame. As you can see here, I already made a shortcut, which is Shift A. So if I go to the frame number 1 and press Shift A, you can see here in the function editor that I'm adding the empty frames. And here it's gonna happen a scaling thing. So somewhere here in the middle of this empty frames, I will do a squash for this ball. To do so, again, animation tool, and now instead of position, I will select scale. Now here comes a cool trick. For doing squashing and stretching of this ball, I could just basically use these numerical values and just like to play with horizontal and vertical scale just to keep the same mass of this ball. Thankfully, OpenToonz has some option that is called maintain, and from there you can choose a mass. Now, what this means is actually, if I want to scale this one only horizontally or vertically, and I can do that by holding a Control key, and now if I hold the left mouse button, if I want to stretch horizontally or vertically, because maintain mass is selected, it's going to maintain the mass no matter how I'm scaling this ball vertically or horizontally. It's a pretty awesome feature that you can use all the time when you want to squash and stretch some object and you want to maintain the same mass to not lose in scaling and to looks like your shape is disappearing, getting smaller and bigger all the time during your animation, and which looks basically awkward. At this point in the middle, I want to do squashing. So Control, and I will just squash just this much, not more than this. And now it's going to do a jump. So here, the frame 1, I will return the shape of this ball to the 100. And if I play, now we have some anticipation going on that we still need to tweak. So next thing is when the ball jump, it needs to stretch. So just before beginning of this jump, I will add some slight stretch, something like this. And now if we play, we have this squash and stretch going on that still needs tweaking. So first thing that I would like to do is just to tweak this stretching phase. As you can see, the maximum stretching value here is at the beginning of the jump. So what I would like to do is just to move this maximum stretching a little bit after jump. So it's going to happen somewhere at the frame 12. So I'm going to now move to the function editor. I'm going to find my scale, which is here. And I want just to move the scaling 2 frames after initial jump is happening, which is actually frame 10. So I will just remove these parameters that we're not going to use to see more clearly. So let's see now. This stretching now, it's more natural when it goes like few frames after the initial jump. Okay, next thing is to return the ball in its normal shape, which is completely like spherical, at the highest number, at the highest point, which is frame 18. So here I'm just gonna type the values, 100. If you have a little bit mismatch between horizontal and vertical, don't mind, it's because of this maintain mass option. So when I use Control button, it just goes a little bit, 1 or 2% can go up or down, but it's still going to maintain the circular shape. Now let's play this one. Okay, so when it reached the highest peak, it gets back to the normal shape. And here I will maybe just move that scaling just a little bit back. So it's not gonna happen immediately, but 1 frame before. So now it's going to be perfectly circular before it reached the highest point. Okay. Next one is contact position right here. So at this position, the ball is gonna be again stretched. So Control, and I'm gonna pick, maybe this one is too exaggerated, but doesn't matter. This is animation after all. So what we can do here is to now duplicate this keyframe and turn it at the beginning. So it's gonna, so first and last frame are gonna be exactly the same. So we have now fluid animation, and because this one and this one are in the frame range to be played, and basically it means that we have two keyframes duplicated, we're just gonna skip this last frame and play. And now it's more fluid. There's no freezing at the last frame and the first frame. Okay, so next thing that we can fix is actually this high point that is happening too fast and too unnatural. So it's just like it's hitting some kind of wall, but we want actually this ball to be stopped because of the gravity. And we're going to activate function curve editor. From there, we're gonna scale down here a bit. So what I want to fix is basically only horizontal movement. So that's actually north-south. So from here, I'm gonna turn off everything except north-south. And as you can see here, this point is actually when the ball reaches the highest, the maximum height. Now to fix this, which is frame 18, we're going to select this keyframe in function editor, and from there we're gonna change interpolation from linear to speed in, speed out. If I want to reshape this point, I have first to go right click and to say unlink handles, and now I can do more reshaping here. And to activate the right handle, what we have to do is to select this keyframe over here and to change also interpolation to speed in and speed out. Now if we go back and zoom in a little bit, we can see that we can also change the interpolation shape on the right side of this jump. And now let's try to play animation. And there you have it, a quick and simple way to make a squash and stretch animation.